Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is your name?
So currently I go by Yumi, or Umi, and I also have gone by Indigo, and that was my name for the last year. And I love the name Indigo. That has a few meanings, and so does Yumi. And then Sophia was my birth name, and that means wisdom. So right now I'm going by Yumi.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Who are you on a soul level?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, well, I'm a soul. So like recently I've been saying, I read this quote and it was like, our souls don't exist in our bodies exist in our souls. And I
Mm,
love that idea, or that truth. It really resonated with me. That like I'm not a body and my soul is kind of captured in my body, but I've been around for a long time before I was living this current life. And so I imagine my soul has seen so many things and has traveled, and my soul understands that I am interconnected to every being, and that I am you. That's what Yumi means. Yumi means I am you and you are me.
mm,
And we're all reflections of one another. And yeah, I think we've lost that. We've lost and not all communities, but I think in Western communities for sure, like communities that have been destroyed by colonialism or have been conditioned to believe, um, that we're separate from nature, or that we're separate from one another,
mm.
and that I need to protect myself. And so I'll like judge this other person out of fear that I'll be hurt or harmed or have my stuff taken away. So on a soul level, I'm like free, and I'm pure love and joy and confidence. Yeah, which I can tap into with like certain exercises. Um, yeah, but just pure ass bliss. Mm-hmm.
Are there any life events or major happenings, or I guess like ways of the world, anything you've seen, people that have come into your life, anything like that that have like made a big impact on who you are?
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, I'm kind of nervous because it is like I feel like some of the biggest impactful experiences are very traumatic.
Mm,
Um, and so yeah, I met someone. I met someone when I was a junior in college, and I just graduated a few months ago. And I think I was like I'm identify as white, and my mom's she's Russian. So I like do have like Asian ethnicity and ancestry in my blood,
mhm.
but like I look white, and I didn't really grow up very connected to my Russian heritage. And and so I kind of was like oblivious to like the pain, like the real pain that was happening in our society, and
Mm,
that people were being killed on a systematic level. And so when I met this person, he was Black and trans, and he was an activist, and he also, I would say, um, is a narcissist and like very controlling. But at the time when I met him, I was like, I was just like interested in like activism, but like I didn't know what it was. Like I didn't understand like that my personal actions, how I met people and talked to people on a regular basis, was political.
yeah.
Um, the person was political, Audre Lorde. And so when I met him, I just like I went into this deep depression because I started to believe that I knew nothing and
Mm,
that I was like worthless, um, because I was white and because I wasn't an organizer. Um, and he was manipulative, and there was a lot of like lack of consent and boundaries being crossed. Um, but there was so many lessons because he was so angry, and I'd never been so like close, because we had a very sexual relationship, and I'd never been so like intimately close to someone that to me like had such a different lived experience and was like living with this anger and rage all the time. Yeah, and so I went to this really deep depression. I fully stopped talking for like 6 months, and had such anxiety. And I was like such an outgoing kid, like really confident. And I was reflecting the other day on my childhood and what I was feeling. And you were talking about this earlier when we were introducing each other, of like being around people but still feeling like on the outside. And even though I had a lot of fun growing up, I did all like the activities, there wasn't this depth, like this wholeness, or feeling that I was like really valued and safe. It was very surface level.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, and so it was weird to all of a sudden like have the first 18, 19 years of my life being like so talkative, outgoing, like generally happy, and ignorant, to then being like shut down, depressed. My nervous system was like destroyed. Like I was so unregulated, and like was eating horribly, and it was like not moving, and just like I had so much self-hatred that I didn't believe that my story and my experience was worth sharing. And so I kept everything inside, and was like a pretty, not like extremely suicidal. I wasn't planning. My therapist called it suicidal ideation, which is like the imagining of killing oneself. And then I like, so much happened. It's such a long story because that's kind of when the journey really began of like, who am I? What am I doing? Because my whole experience just kind of got wiped. It was like I became nothing, which is kind of beautiful because then I got to like create myself fully. Right. But like I wanted to still know who I was. Like what was the soul? Like what was the soul level that was always with me? Yeah, so that was meeting this person, becoming so depressed, realizing that other people experience pain. I fully did not know that other people felt pain because I was projecting my own experience. I knew people got sad, but I didn't understand depression. I didn't understand like I kind of was like, just be happy. And that's my mom. Like my mom is really, because she was born in the Soviet Union, and they're like, they don't understand mental illness well, especially the older generations. And so if you're unhappy, they're like, that doesn't really exist. Like, just go figure that out. Like mental illness is not talked about. Yeah, so that wasn't a very supportive place for me. But yeah, it was like this idea that mental illness is not a thing. And so I grew so much love for other people once I began to really love myself and understand that how possible change is, and how we can hurt other people. Because in my process of healing, of like being like, I'm feeling good, I totally was hurting people, like unconsciously. And people told me I was diagnosed bipolar at that time, and I don't use that label anymore. And now people are like, my therapist said I had PTSD, which I like that label more because it's like, it's more trauma based and like experience based, instead of just your brain has like chemicals are unbalanced and you need a drug to balance your brain and then be kind of normal but not really feel anything. Yeah, so that experience was ginormous, and I can't say it's one experience, it's just kind of life, but being really aware of the beauty of all people, and that there's no space in my life anymore to hate or to judge other people, because I never know what someone's experiencing or what they feel about themselves. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Usually I give people 3 different categories,
Mm-hmm.
kind of say what means the most to them and what means the least to them. But
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to just tell you all the categories, and then I want you to pick one that you feel like pretty vocal about and pretty strongly about, that you can kind of just expand on, like, your thoughts, your experiences when it comes to that said category, and like
Mm-hmm.
everything in between, because all of these are kind of packed with like a whole bunch of stuff. You can kind of take it wherever you want to. So the first category is love, sex, relationships.
Okay.
The second is society, culture, politics.
Mm-hmm.
And the third is spirituality and or religion, because everyone is not religious. So for
Mm-hmm.
you, out of those 3, what do you think you have like the strongest opinion on?
Mm-hmm. They're all so connected. They're like the same
Right?
thing. um I'm gonna pick one, but I'm definitely gonna like intertwine them all.
You totally can.
I think right now in my life, I'm gonna say sex, love, and relationships. Yeah, sex, love, and relationships. I think we are horrible at communication.
Yes.
We really don't know how to communicate, and that's something that I learned when I was super depressed, was like how to listen.
Mm,
And I think that is a big issue in our relationships, is not realizing that we're just miscommunicating, and we get into these like arguments because we make assumptions about what other people are thinking
mm,
that are completely inaccurate and based on our own insecurities. And so I recommend reading Nonviolent Communication by Marshall P. or B. Rosenberg. He's a Jewish man. I think he grew up in Brooklyn.
mm.
And when you read, like when I read this book, it feels like a woman, which is so beautiful because, like, and I wasn't conscious about it, but like it feels like he's like holding you. And men don't usually like have
Yeah.
that gentle energy.
Mm-hmm.
But that book has totally changed my life, because I realized like most of us are codependent, right? So we grew up with parents who were unstable emotionally, spiritually, physically. It's all interconnected. And they didn't understand how to love us, how to support us, how to make us really feel love, because love is an action. It's not just telling someone that you love them, it's
Right.
how you treat them. And I think it's hard to really feel love from a parent if they don't love themselves and if they have a lot of self-hatred. So my father, he would be diagnosed a narcissist, most likely. Still a label. I still think he's worthy of love, but narcissists are such fearful people. They're like some of the most insecure people. And
Mm,
so growing up, I learned many disruptive subconscious beliefs that kept me from being my whole self. And one of those beliefs was, if I love someone, then I must be taking care of them. And if I'm not able to make them happy, then I'm unworthy. And it's like cornerstone of codependency. That's like, I'm not responsible for how other people feel. I'm not responsible for how other people feel. And that's been very hard for me to understand and to not get wrapped up in people's I love emotions, because so many of us learn that to show someone we love them is to be sad when they're sad, or to be happy
mm,
when they're happy, or to make it our responsibility to change them. But that's not love. Love is like accepting someone as they are, not trying to make them happy or not trying to manipulate the situation, because then it's like gaslighting, then it's not really support. So there's like, it's so backwards how we understand love.
Mm.
And then sex. Oof. Sex. I love sex. I think we're all sexual beings. I'm learning about Tantra, and
Oh, cool.
mm-hmm,
That's awesome.
mm-hmm. Do you study Tantra?
I know a little bit about it and it does interest me, but I haven't fully like, you know,
Mm-hmm,
in yet. But I mean, it's definitely something I'm interested in. And I think that there's
mm-hmm,
like so much to that that everyone needs to add to their
mm-hmm.
sexual practices for sure.
Agreed. And life practices like Tantra's, it's so much greater than just sex. It's like,
Mhm.
it's seeing us as connected, interconnected to one another, and like
Mhm.
innately, um, this is probably not all Tantra practitioners. I'm so new to the practice, so
Mhm.
this is like my understandings, that we're all sensual beings, and that um, a lot of like spiritual groups, especially like Western spiritual groups that are mainly whitewashed, there's this idea of like ascension, like we need to come up and we need to like be enlightened and kind of separate ourselves from the human experience. And I wish I knew how to say this better, but Tantra is saying we need to descend. We need to come down into our bodies to experience the human experience, to feel our feelings, to
Mhm.
love one another, which includes pain.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people fear. Like spiritual bypassing is like a really popular word right now in the spiritual community, which is so great, I think, and exciting that we're starting to, we as in people in the spiritual world, are starting to reflect on um, this fear of looking at oneself and how we've harmed other people. Um, yeah, and so sex, moving away from Tantra, I have struggled with sex addiction and with love addiction. And um, it's caused so much shame. I also was sexually assaulted when I was 7, like probably till like 7 to 9, or just somewhere in between that time, by a classmate. Because often we're assaulted by people we know and that we usually have like a trusting relationship with, which is so
Mhm.
painful,
Yeah.
so painful. And so my school, I was in elementary school, my school did not do anything to support me. There was like,
Of course.
there was a conversation with him and his family. He said he didn't do it. And I was like, well, that's not true.
Right.
I heard his family also was abusive to him.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's true, but I think the idea is still important, that like most people who are abusers have been abused themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I was very, I became very hypersexual um, after my first time, which was with this person, the Black trans activist um, that I met, that kind of sparked this like deep depression and like kind of like an awakening.
Hmm.
Um, we had sex, and that was my first time really having sex, and there was like lack of consent, but also actually experiencing it was like so pleasurable, and I was crying because it felt like there had been this huge release of energy and tension. And after that happened, I became really like fixated on having sex, um,
Hmm.
and feeling this like deep bond, because I think for a lot of us, when we grow up without this connection to spirit, or connection to the earth, um, which you could definitely, I read this book, Sacred Instructions,
Hmm.
by Sherry Mitchell. Have you read that book?
No, but I'm gonna buy it.
It's so good. She's an indigenous woman. I don't remember, um, what tribe she's in, but she wrote this beautiful book, Sacred Instructions, and she talks about just indigenous wisdom and how to bring indigenous wisdom back into our lives, and how it's been stripped away through colonialism and slavery and all these horrible things that have happened in the country. Such a history.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're stripped of this indigenous wisdom that is innate for all of us, no matter who we are, like wisdom of being. And so when we grow up and we don't have this roots, these like roots that go deep down, like supposedly like most indigenous people, they think about their seventh, like their child, like 7 generations in the future, and that is what determines how they live their life. So that's beautiful. It's like thinking about, like, I feel like today when we're thinking about climate change, there's conversation about like, what about my children?
Yeah.
And then what about thinking like your children's 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 children's?
Yeah.
Like that deep, and going, there's just so much love and so much care and understanding of how everything we do has an impact. Every thought we have has an impact. Every feeling we have has an impact. Yeah, so then sex is a very soul connecting act. And so it can feel like, oh my God, where has this been my whole life? This like deep intimacy. And so I got really addicted to that. When I was depressed, I was not interested in sex, and that's really common. Our libido just like fully decreases and we're like not interested. Yeah, but then I was like having a lot of sex. I've had sex with over 30 people. I tried to write down all their names and I like don't remember. And I watched this beautiful documentary about sex addiction called The Courage to Love. And that was super affirming. And the way that I found out that I had a sex addiction was because I was living with my boyfriend in the Gambia in West Africa. It's a tiny country on the West Coast. And I did not feel love. I did not feel love for this person, this relationship. And I was living there for 2 months, and every day we had sex. And I didn't know how to say I didn't want this. And it wasn't like I was being like no when he was forcing it. I was saying yes, but I didn't want it. And it caused so much pain and so much shame. Yeah, and I've met so many people that struggle with the same thing, which has been so affirming. And also I think it's really common for people who have been sexually assaulted to have like a hyper arousal, or to be like shut down. Like I have a lot of friends who were sexually assaulted and they're like wear really baggy clothes, and this may be like I feel like a lot of people who say they're asexual have experienced a lot of sexual assault or experienced sexual assault, and their bodies are like shut down.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that for everyone, but in my experience and like the friends that I've talked to and how they've shifted their sexual desires over time, I feel like we are sexual beings. Like it is natural for us. We were created from people having sex.
Right.
That's how we came to be. And at the same time, I'm kind of balancing this thing of like not wanting to tell people what to do and how to live their life.
Right.
But also wanting to tell people how to live their life, which is like the journey of self-love and accepting other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stop there.
That was bomb. I was definitely, there were so many things that you said that I could relate to, that I fully understood. Yeah, it's so interesting to me, sex, and like the views that the differences we all have when it comes to sex, because I mean, I have friends that haven't been, you know, sexually abused in any way, and they have healthy sexual relationships and look at sex as something very happy. And I have friends who were also abused as, you know, at a young age, who also became very hyper sexual. And I have friends in, you know, in the program of Sex Addicts Anonymous or Sexual Anonymous, something like that. So I mean, I've definitely heard all of this before. And then like I too, like I'm on the opposite side of that, where it's like, you know, my trauma happened as an adult, but it completely made me feel like I don't want to do this. Like this act is not appealing to me at all. Like this only sparks up like fear and like sadness. Like this is not something that I'm, you know. So it's interesting the different ways people process, but I always love when people speak openly about it, because it's important to know that like there is no shame behind that, and there's no shame behind wanting to have sex or not wanting to have sex, because like it's your body and it's your preference, and you do what you want, or like not do what you want. So thank you for being that honest.
Can I share a little bit about a current, well, we actually just broke up, but like a current relationship I'm having in my relationship to sex?
Yeah, sure.
Like, growth is just so possible, and like change is so possible. And we did just break up, me and my partner, and I'm like, it was like a few days ago, and I'm learning how to be and function. And I feel, especially as like an ex-codependent, like a recovering codependent, it was funny when she broke up with me, and we have a very like spiritual, deep, honest relationship, so much communication, and like love-based, not fear-based. And she had been meditating a lot and like sitting with what she needed and what she wanted. And she like got the message that she needs more time to like be alone and not in this relationship. And when she told me, I told her like, I have these thoughts that are like, my life is over now that we're not together, or like, who will I be with? But I like was telling her like, that's not what I feel, and I know those aren't true. And I guess I want to like highlight that part in healing, where we're kind of burning away the codependency, or like the poison that tells us that we're not enough without this other person. Of this place of being like, I hear the thoughts, they're still there, but I have no attachment to them anymore. Because healing, I know probably everyone watching this who's gonna watch this, and you as well, have heard that healing is not linear, and it's like goes all over the place. But also our sex was so healing. Like, someone being a survivor of sexual assault, and also like experiencing sexual assault later in my life, also as an adult, being in a relationship where my partner, I trust my partner and they trust me, and we are going as slow as we need to, and like constantly checking in with one another. And like, it doesn't matter what we look like, or like what sounds we're making, how big our bodies are. I remember when we first got together, I asked her if she was fat phobic or like what her relationship was with like shaming fat people. And I recently lost like a lot of weight, and I didn't know that it happened, but like,
I was gonna ask you, why did you ask that question?
Well, I was like chubby. And I have my own shame of my body. And yeah, but like seeing someone else love us, you know, no matter what we look like it did build a lot of confidence in myself. And like the way, so crying after sex is super normal. And I want to normalize that. Like, so many women cry after they have sex, and humans probably in general, but I've only heard about like womb having people. But she would fuck me, and it would like go to this like deep point, and then I would say like, okay, that's it. Like there'd be a point where I would be like, it would be enough, and then my whole body would feel like there's like energy running through, but it would be stuck, and it was like trying to come
Mhm.
out, and I felt really suffocated. And that would last like 5 seconds, and then I'd burst into tears and be like wailing, crying, and all this energy would come out. It was kind of like my version of an orgasm. And like the pain that I experienced being assaulted and having my boundaries crossed so intimately, and my relationship with my father. Like, it's not like only sexual trauma is being healed through having consensual sex. It's like all trauma. Most trauma for females is stored in our womb area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that has been so healing, and I just wanted to share that. Like, it's really incredible to have a partnership that feels so based in love, and to see that is true, and that is a possibility. Like this work that you're doing, like really affirming to yourself that there is connection, and that there is love, and that we are capable of respecting one another.
Mm-hmm.
It's healing.
It so
Mm.
is. And I was actually just talking to a friend the other day about what basically what you just said. Because I was telling her, I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna have like a normal like sexual relationship. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Or feel safe. Or like anytime I start dating someone, my mind automatically goes to like, why am I even here? Because I know they just want to like,
Mm.
have sex with me, and I know that this is not something that I want to do, and I don't know how to like fully explain myself to them, or like why I
Mm.
want to, and is it gonna ruin it? And it just like starts this whole like anxiety like
Mm.
crazy thing that just makes me like not even want to date or like be open or like anything, because a lot of people
Yeah.
like do not get it. Like a lot of people are totally fine in that area and just like hook up and like dip out and everything's fine, and I like
Yeah.
envy that. But like, so
Mm.
she was just basically saying like, when you find someone that you can trust and that you feel safe with, then you won't struggle with any of the things you're
Mm.
feeling and what you're talking about. So it's
Mm.
also reassuring that you brought that up, because that's exactly what she was saying. It's like you felt safe enough with this person, and this person was willing to be patient with you
Yes.
and hold that space for you to do whatever you needed to do, and whether that was cry or like,
Mhm.
it was, that's just so beautiful, and that's hard to find.
Yeah.
you
It's
know
being witnessed. It's like really someone just witnessing you feel whatever you need to feel. I'm getting my charger.
no, it's totally fine.
Um, feel
um
whatever you need to feel, and not be judging or shaming.
when you sit back down, I'm going to get you to pick colors, and I want
Mhm.
you to tell everyone why you pick the specific colors that you pick.
Mm.
And we'll move on to the second part of the interview.
How many colors do I pick?
As many as you want, as many that speak to you. I tell people to pick colors. So I really love color therapy. And
Mm.
I think that what, like the color of a room or what you wear, or just, I mean, I think all of that has a lot to do with our moods and healing as well.
Mm.
So I
Mm.
tell people to pick colors that speak to them, like pick colors that make you feel something, pick colors
Mm.
that remind you of something, whether it be good or bad, like a color that jumps out for some reason. There's a reason it did, and you should use it in what you create.
That's beautiful. I've never heard that idea that like the colors we pick represent some part of who we are, what we want.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, what colors did you pick?
I picked purple. It's a deep purple. It's like violet. And deep blue.
I love that blue.
Me too. There's a red. It's like lipstick. A light blue. Orange. What's the difference on screen? And green.
Okay. Is there a specific reason why you picked the purple or the blues or the red or orange or the green?
Well, hearing you talk about color therapy, I'm like, there must be a reason. But yeah, I've always been drawn to colors with a lot of depth, like deep, more dark colors.
Mm-hmm.
And I love blue. Green was my favorite color growing up. After rainbow, which I think is like every kid's favorite color. And then I just love green because it was a color of grass and trees, and I grew up in Vermont, which is like
Okay. Yeah.
And then blue because it was a color of water, and
Mm,
like everyone's favorite color was blue at the time.
yeah.
But I remember knowing that and disliking that I also like blue because other people like blue, and I didn't want to be like other people.
Yeah.
That's been an idea that has also kept me down. The fear of being like other people. It's like I can throw that out. Purple, I love purple. It's my dad's favorite color. I
Mhm.
also usually see purple as indigo, even though blue is more indigo.
Yeah.
But my dad used to call me indigo. And yeah, so I always connected with purple. And people say I have a purple aura, like an
Me
eggplant.
too. That's
Oh,
awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
I see that.
And I grew up loving purple. Purple was like my favorite color.
Mm.
Yeah. And I love that blue because it's like lapis.
Lapis, what's that?
Yeah. It's a stone. It looks like
Ooh.
the, it's like super deep
Ooh,
blue. I
that's
don't even
very
know if it's
indigo.
like
It's
coming
almost
through.
purple.
Yeah, like I was trying to get the light kind of on it, but yeah, it's
Mm.
called lapis lazuli, but it's a really deep, deep, deep blue, and it's supposed to be good for like third eye, crown chakra work.
Mm.
But the first time I saw this blue and like the blue you're holding, like that blue is just so beautiful because it's like deep, but it's vibrant. Yeah, like I have a sweater that color, and every time I wear it, people are like, "Oh my god, I love it."
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah. What makes you the most upset? Like, what
Ooh,
is something that like really pisses you off?
I love that question. Um, I've never been asked that question before. What makes me the most upset? Um, oh, such a range. There's so many upsetting things.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
the most upset. Um, huh. God, I need a minute to think about this. I'll draw.
Okay.
What makes me the most upset? Okay, I'm gonna think out loud.
Okay.
Um, well, in my past, I would have been like racist or like um
Yeah.
I most upset the lack of respect, the lack it makes me upset see people sad, so many sad people. Um okay, the lack Okay, this one makes me the most upset. The lack of belief that we are capable of change.
Mm,
That makes me very upset.
yeah, I feel that. Because then it's just like a cop out. It's just people being lazy and like being unwilling to change.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also, I think I struggle with this question because I feel like there aren't, I'm really working on my emotions right now and like being stable in my emotions and having my emotions come from internal instead of like external, while
Mm-hmm.
still feeling, whatever's coming through. But I like don't think there are too many things that I see make me make me really upset.
Mm.
I'm in such a transition period. I definitely though, yeah, people that are like my brother used to say, after you get a certain age, our lives are like meaningless and worthless, and we have no more joy. Um, which is like this idea of adulthood, just like lacking any enjoyment and just doing what you're told.
Yeah.
Um, and that was like, no, you can't, don't tell me that my life is going to just be miserable after
Yeah.
these like 2 years. Um, and I think that was rooted in believing that it was impossible to take care of yourself, be responsible for yourself, have control over your own life. Um, instead of relying on other people to tell us what we need to do.
Yeah. So, what makes you really happy? Like, what really excites you?
Um, being being by myself. Recently, it has been being by myself,
Mm-hmm.
doing my morning routine, which is like yoga, dancing, meditation, free writing. um, but all kind of creating. It changes every day. It changes literally every day. But it's been when I'm dancing and dancing like in a non-sexual way, but just like moving in a way that feels good,
Mm-hmm.
and watching my transition of like not really feeling it, being in my body, being a bit bored, but knowing this is good for me, to like this genuine joy that's like I just feel being alone and dancing.
What are you afraid of?
Oh, I'm afraid. Yeah, I have fear of not living up to my potential,
Mm-hmm.
and like I really see myself changing the lives of millions of people, and that's my goal. And I see myself being on stage,
Mm-hmm.
probably like performing. Like I'm a singer, and I want to be making my own music and dancing, and but I also want to like there's so many different things. Like yes, that's another fear that I want to do so much that I won't be able to actually get really good at one thing and impact more people because I'll spread myself way too thin.
Like a jack of all trades kind of thing.
Yeah, but I want to be a jack of all trades that's balanced and rooted and having a positive impact and accessible. I want to be accessible.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Hmm.
Okay. What makes you uncomfortable?
Um, my mom. Um, what makes me uncomfortable? I'm trying to masturbate, and it's hard to be really present in my body when I'm trying to pleasure myself, because like memories come up and trauma comes up, and yeah, I get pretty uncomfortable when I'm trying to um, and not just masturbate, like not just penetrate, but like put like candles and like put oil on my body and touch my body and give myself a massage, I can get very uncomfortable. And it's a good uncomfortability. I'm becoming aware of it, and I'm still doing it even though I'm uncomfortable. And it's getting a little bit less uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you on that. I mean, I went to a retreat like right before the quarantine happened, and they were doing yoga, and I thought I was grounded. I mean, I'm a Taurus, you know, I'm grounded, but I don't think that I am that much. And like doing the yoga, like I just like looked at my leg and started like sobbing. Because there's never a time, like I said, where I just take to myself. Like everything just seems like it's for what is the next thing. It's like I'm thinking about the next thing before I'm even there. So it's like you take a shower, okay, I'm taking a shower, but while I'm in the shower, it's not like I'm paying attention to like lathering my body and like cleaning my body. It's just like a robotic actions of like, okay, we're doing this because we have to get out because we have to do something else. So doing this yoga and being in this pose where I realized like, oh my God, that's my leg. I feel my, like something that simple, but to me was so like crazy that like I was realizing a body part that I literally just started like sobbing because I was like, wow, I'm literally never in my body. So I totally get what you mean about, I don't know, like when you try to give yourself that attention and then it just feels so strange and like just other worldly. I don't know, it's hard, but I think that's good that you continue to do it because I don't think I've done yoga since. Like, and that's something I should probably do. But it's like running from the shadow work, just like you were saying earlier, how like you have to feel the pain to heal the pain. And like,
you kind of have to go through it. And sometimes it can be so painful to be present. And I think loving grief is really deeply connected to this and can be helpful. It was really helpful for me to start accepting pain when I started to see grief as a form of love. And so grieving my body, you know, is me loving my body so much that I feel this pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just never thought about it like that. What do you think about social media?
Yeah, I think social media it can be used as a tool. And a tool for connection, a tool for learning. I think it's absolutely incredible that we all get to have, if we have access to like a computer or technology, Wi-Fi, that we can access so much knowledge in like zero time, like 5 seconds. That has been tremendously helpful for my healing journey and like learning about the nervous system, learning about regulating my nervous system, learning about meditation, listening to podcasts. Like podcasts have been amazing. And like this, like hearing people's stories and how they've healed. So I think it can be an amazing tool. I think it's super abused. I think we often abuse ourselves because we lack internal boundaries to say no to when we don't want to do something anymore. So like Instagram addiction is huge. And I know myself, I've like been on Instagram. It's only like 30 minutes, but I'll be scrolling and it's like unconscious, like so unaware of my thoughts. Scrolling, taking in all this information, all these opinions, all these images of bodies that are not like mine.
Right.
Judging myself, feeling like I'm not good enough, feeling like I don't know what to post because if what I post is not interesting. So I think there's a lot of addiction in social media. And Yeah, but I think it also can be a tool, like a serious tool for healing, and transformation and connection.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of the hardest conversations that you've had, and how did you muscle through that?
Yeah, I've had a lot of hard conversations, as us all, but I would say I wrote my college essay on this, talking to my dad about wanting to move out of the house, um, because at the time, my brother, he's 3 years older than me, he was going to college, and it was his senior year, and I was a sophomore, and my dad was super depressed and also like kind of manipulative and um, really not taking care of himself, like not like he never cooked meals, for us. Um, and I told him that I wanted to live with my mom. And that was really scary because he really hated my mom because she had cheated on him, and like, as a narcissist, he'll like blame the world for his problems. There's no accountability, there's no responsibility. That's why they're unable to empathize, because they're not able to reflect, so they
Yeah,
can't grow, which is Trump. Trump is a classic narcissist. He's like
yeah,
a 5-year-old.
yeah,
um
literally. My dad
and
is
it's
also a narcissist, so I get it.
mm, mm, it's hard. And so I was scared to tell him, because at first he said I couldn't leave, um but then he was like, okay, because he knew, like, I was very strong,
Mhm.
um, very young, and very like independent. Probably because I needed to be.
Yeah,
um, but that was really hard because I had such codependence with him, and so I was so afraid of hurting him. Um, yeah, but then I moved in with my mom. It was great.
okay. The reason I asked that question is because I want you to talk a little bit about how you think we as a generation communicate, and like what
Yeah,
are we lacking and what can we do better. And I'll give an example. Like, a lot of people, when they have something really serious to talk about, they just won't, or
yeah.
like they'll send it in a text, and something that should be very like done in person for sure, like in a book, over text messages, because we are that scared of
Yes.
facing each other and like being vulnerable. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on just how our generation communicates, how you feel you communicate in your best communication style, and how you feel you can improve, and like some things that we can do as a collective to further see each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that question. I definitely touched on that. And
Yeah.
I think social media is super connected to that because we live in a very quick world,
Mhm.
and we want everything to be very fast. And a lot of people like think intimacy is texting, um, and like that you can grow close and connected to someone um, when you're not even seeing them or touching them, and send like sentence long text messages. So I think we've gotten really used to um, not having time to be alone without stimulation, because we constantly have a phone. And if we're bored, instead of sitting with boredom and like thinking and like deciding what I want to do and getting creative and learning about ourselves, we can just turn to our phones
Mhm.
and have our subconscious take control.
3 more questions. The
Okay.
first one: what do you need to heal? So there are two questions in that, and people have answered both, if they've answered one or whatever. So there's what do you need to heal, as in what do you need in order to heal? And then like what is something that you need to heal?
Ooh, I like that. What do I need to heal? What do I need to heal? Acceptance of myself as I am. I'm not gonna say any objects. I don't think I need any objects. But acceptance and compassion, which is the same kind of thing. Awareness. I need awareness. I can't heal something that I don't know is broken. And I don't want to say this is a need, but it also is a need. You touched on this when we were talking, like wanting to see the connection or the self-love grow to community, not just about ourselves, but after we learn to love ourselves, to love one another. And I really believe that. And so I think I do need people, because we are social beings. I need to see other people, and not even doing anything or being anything, just humans, seeing other humans, and then building my, people say tribe, I don't really say that, but building my people, my friends who like love me, like seriously love me and seriously support me, and like accept me as I am, and have integrity. Yeah, that's what I need. And then the second part was, what do I need to heal in my life? I've been healing my relationship with my dad for a while. That's been going well. And I would encourage everyone to heal their relationships with their parents, because most of our trauma stems from how we were treated as children.
Yep.
From the people we expected the most to give us love. Mom and dad, usually. And my sexual, yes, the sexual relationship to myself has been huge. One of the tools that I've used is writing erotica about being alone. It's been great. And I've been meditating on it too. Like while I'm meditating, I'm visualizing. And it's not always sex. Sometimes there's actual sex, but usually it's like me laying in a cloud of rose petals, and like queer people are like rollerblading around me.
That's awesome.
Eating ice cream.
That's so awesome. What's missing? And that's a very open-ended question, so you can answer it however it speaks to you.
What's missing? Love was the first thing that popped into my mind, and then justice was the second thing that popped into my mind. And I think they're the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last question is the question that I end with everyone. So all the lights go out, and the computer screens, telephone screens, TV screens stay on. It's like PSA, public service announcement. And then it's your face. So the whole world can see you and nobody else. And like everything else, like the electricity is out. So like they're paying attention to only you. So you have the floor. What are you going to say? What are you going to do in that moment?
Okay. What I'm going to say is me. you know, acting as if I was on TV. Okay, I'm preparing. I understand that you are most likely afraid, and that is okay. Everything you feel is completely valid. You are capable of achieving everything you want, and you are absolutely worthy of love. Love from yourself and love from your community. You get to decide how you want to live your life. Mm. Mm. And I love you. Mm-hmm. And I believe in you. And I'm proud of everything you've already accomplished, because living can be very, very hard. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This was so awesome. This was so beautiful. I am better than when I came on.
That's great.
And you are a beautiful human. And I'm really happy that we randomly met over the interweb and were able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, my God, like, and I also can't believe you're 22.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I definitely wasn't talking this shit when I was 22. Like, you know, and I didn't know anyone that was 22 when I was 22 that was like that wise. I think it's really cool. Yeah, and you're really special, and I'm like really happy you exist. Show me what you drew, if you drew anything.
I did. I didn't draw for most of that whole part, but this is what I made.
Okay, I love that. I do. I like it, and I like the colors and how you use them.
Thank you.